Ever since the very first Zelda came out in 1986, fans of this series for the last 25 years have been trying to put every single game into a timeline. This timeline which shows that every single game that has come out fits together in a perfect order, so that one game was the very beginning of this link, the series and everything, and that one game or games shows the end of it. Fans for years have been trying to come up with almost countless amounts of timelines, each one having its own pros and cons. For everyone thought that, and though it was fun for everyone, no one really thought the true timeline would ever be discovered. But slowly, reports leaked out that Shigeru Miyamoto, the creator of the series, had a secret file with the actual Zelda timeline, and that he and the president of Nintendo would be the only people to ever see it. And that launched thousands of more ideas of what that could be. Then, the impossible happened. On December 21st, 2011, in Japan was released a book called The History of Hyrule. And though it gave a great description of every game's little secrets and tidbits about how they were made and the secrets behind everything, it wasn't long for someone realized that the real, actual timeline was in the book. And now, it is my pleasure and my honor that I, SpinX711, am here to present to you the real, actual Zelda timeline. Let's get started.
If you have not played Ocarina of Time, there remains spoiler alert, so better watch out. And if you didn't play it, it's a great game.
Alright, first off, thanks to Glitterberry for that's your YouTube name, by the way, for your translation, because it's all in Japanese. Alright, so this is the actual real Zelda timeline. The first thing is the era of the world's creation, aka Heaven and Earth are created. There. Next is the era of the goddess of Hylia, aka this is when the big war happens and the humans are sent to the sky, and there's pretty much Skyward Sword. And sorry if you saw those spoilers right there, because sorry about that. Next up, the Sky Era, of course nothing happens. Next up is the Era of Chaos. The Sacred Realm was sealed by the three goddesses. The Era of Prosperity is when the Hyrule Kingdom is established. And finally, the Force Era, where Minish Cap happens and Vati is born. This is probably going to make a lot of people mad, considering there's been a huge fan war over whether Ocarina or Minish Cap come first, but apparently it's Minish Cap. Anyway, right after that is Four Swords, and this is not Four Swords Adventure. This is Four Swords, the expansion for A Link to the Past. Anyway, Vati is resurrected, but you kill him because it's four of you. Next up is the big one, the Hero of Time era, and there's a unification war that the Deku Tree talks about, and then it is here where the Dark World is formed in the Sacred Realm. Ganon turns into the Demon King Ganon, and so now we have the big split here. Now, if you look on the left, you'll probably see there's another third timeline, but let's talk about the two everyone knows about. The first one, let's start with the adult era. This is where, again, you kick butt as an adult and kill Ganondorf, and Zelda sends you back in time because she feels like she stole your childhood. Anyway, so if you've seen the beginning of Wind Waker, okay, so long story short, the Ocarina of Time does not exist anymore. So Ganondorf comes back, there's no Hero of Time, so the goddesses flood Hyrule to keep Ganondorf from getting it. So then a few years later, a little kid from Outlook Island, also named Blaine, or whatever the heck you felt like calling him, puts some green clothes on, sets out and kicks butt, and kills him. So yeah, that happens, and then of course after Wind Waker would be its direct sequel, Phantom Hourglass, but nothing really important happens. Then apparently becomes the era of Hyrule's rebirth, where you actually end up discovering a whole new continent, and you decide to rebuild, and you and Tetra decide to rebuild Hyrule there, and thus 100 years after that, Demon King Malladus is revived, and thus Spirit Tracks begins. So pretty much all the games in the adult timeline are Toon Link games. Next up is a child era. This is pretty much where you're sent back in time, and you tell little kid Zelda everything, so Ganondorf is executed before he could do anything. So after that would be its sequel, Majora's Mask. Now, while you're saving Termia from the moon, Ganondorf is sent to be killed by the Seven Sages, only because they're idiots and they don't use the Master Sword. He ends up breaking free, kills one of the sages, and using a last resort, they send him to the Twilight Realm, where he eventually finds this crazy guy named Zan. He kind of takes over Shadow, Twilight starts invading the Land of Light, and thus Twilight Princess begins. And finally is up as the Shadow Mirror. This is where Four Swords Adventures begins, and once again, Ganondorf is back, Vaati is back, and you once again kick butt because there's 4 of you. Now, here's the thing. If you look on your left, you'll see in big red letters, the hero of time is defeated. Imagine if when you died and got the game over sign, Ocarina of Time, it was real. So somehow, the sages or someone or whoever ended up getting Ganondorf in the Sacred Realm, but he corrupts the Sacred Realm and turns it into the Dark World, and this of course would lead to a Link to the Past, where you go to the Dark World, you kill Ganondorf because you're Link and you're awesome. Next up is the 2 Oracle games, and well, Kuti and Kote try to revive Ganondorf. They do, but you kill him again because you're Link. Then finally is Link's Awakening. I don't know why that's in there. I guess it's just thrown in there for the heck of it. Next up is the Gold Era, where the monarchy decides to start using the Triforce. Great. And finally is the Tragedy of Princess Zelda, and this is where the first 2 Zelda games go, where you kill Ganondorf, and then Ganondorf tries to kill you. But anyway, that's the real Zelda Timeline. I hope you find it mind-blowing. My name is FenX711. Please like if you enjoyed. Hope you found this useful, and I'm signing off. Thanks for watching.